Okay, everybody, welcome back. Today we are talking about the 1893 World's Fair in Chicago. Now, if you haven't heard of this before, don't worry, you're in the right place. You can listen to this. It's under Live Combos on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. That is the uncut version. Follow me on TikTok, Live M's Vlogs. Subscribe to this channel. Leave a like. Leave a comment. Turn on post notifications so you never miss when I post a new video. Thank you guys so much for all the love on the new style content we're doing on here. I've gotten some comments on TikTok. They're like, Olivia, why is it under 15 minutes? I'm like, have you ever edited a YouTube video before? It is hard work. I used to do it all the time as a kid. I don't know how I didn't go insane. Since TikTok is still available right now, I figured, why don't we try to make the type of content and the type of time frame, time span, what have you, because everybody has ADHD now, that people would actually be interested in watching the whole thing and getting something out of it. So right now it's going to stay in that 15-minute mark. If TikTok disappears, then I will have more time. I won't have to handle both anymore. I'll have more time to just do YouTube. We're not doing that right now because then the video won't go up. You feel. It's a transition for me. It's a lot of work. So I would love to do longer format. I did it before. If I want to actually edit the videos, I need to give myself a time frame right now or it won't go up. That is honestly the truth of the matter. If TikTok does disappear on us, I will be doing longer videos on here. Okay, if you have not heard of this amazing day in history, I'm here to tell you. I get the question a lot. If you could time travel, go back in time to any portion in time. A lot of people say ancient Egypt. Listen, I love ancient Egypt. That's on the list. Definitely a video I want to do on here, so stay tuned. Ancient Egypt coming up. I pondered the question. I tell people a lot of time is I'd like to go back to the 1893 World's Fair, and they look at me like I'm insane. They're like, Olivia, what is that? Well, I will tell you. Meant to celebrate the 400th anniversary of Columbus's arrival to the New World, 1893 Columbian Exposition was best known for its grand vision into the future. Also called the Chicago World's Fair, its organizers tried to outdo the Paris Exposition Universelle of 1889. They managed to stun the world with a 690-acre city within a city that showcased 65,000 exhibits. Columbian Exposition electricity transformed night skies across America and would soon shape the future. Stop right here so I can explain. The stuff that you know and love today, a lot of it came from this right here. And this was an event. Thousands of people went to Chicago to see this. This is when electricity was first shown to the masses. It's known as the White City, very famous photo. It takes my breath away. It's something that I can't believe I want to go back to that time so bad. Like, I want to be there. I want to experience electricity for the first time. And I can't imagine what that would have been like, seeing that in real life. Visitors saw a multitude of spectacular new developments, including dishwashers and a giant Ferris wheel. So this was the first time a Ferris wheel was unveiled to the masses. Can you imagine? You've never seen a Ferris wheel in your life. You roll up to this, there it is. They're like, get on this thing. What do you mean we're going to go in the air? What do you mean we're going to go in a circle? What do you mean I'm not going to fall to my death? You know what I'm saying? Like, that was risky back then. Okay, we're talking Victorian times. Seeing this in Victorian times, you would have thought the apocalypse was coming. But it was a newfangled electricity and all the wondrous contraptions it ran that captured their imaginations. The Great Exhibit in England, 1851, this fair had a far-reaching impact. More than 27 million people, sorry, I said thousands, I meant million. 1 in 4 Americans, can you imagine that? 1 in 4 Americans came to see this. And it's difficult to travel. You're by boat, you're by train. Visit the fair by its close 6 months later on Monday, October 30th. Since much of the fair was run by AC power, visitors were able to experience the profound changes electricity would soon make in their daily lives. The fair, considered an electrical expedition, only would be well worthy of the attention of the world. Look from a distance at night upon the broad spaces it fills, the majestic sweep of the searching lights, and as earth and sky were transformed by immeasurable wands of colossal magicians. Isn't that insane? That quote is crazy. The superb dome of a structure that is the central glory of the display is glowing as it was bound by wreaths of stars. It's electricity. When the whole casket is illuminated, the cornices of the palaces of the White City are defined with sexual fire. Waters are at play, leap and flash with it. There are borders of lamps around the lagoon. You would have thought this is otherworldly in 1893. You would have thought this was sorcery, like actual sorcery. Like, what do you mean I can see buildings at night? Like, what do you mean? On May 1st, 1893, throngs of people anxiously waited for President Grover Cleveland to press the button that was wired in Washington to electrify the fair. It was similar to those used in telegraph offices, but this one was gold instead of steel. The dates 1492 and 1893 were painted in silver on the bottom level of the three-tiered pyramid, sitting on the ceremonial table. Although the lightest touch was necessary, President Cleveland brought his first fist down with such force he nearly shattered the button. Isn't that insane? Grover was like, listen here, and he just... Like, he did not need to do that. Touch of that button set a great Alice engine machinery hall in Chicago into motion. In one profound moment, the Columbian Expedition electricity sparked the fair to life, ushering in the electric age. The White City incorporated electricity into every aspect of the fair. It also meant the fair would remain open at night. Isn't that wild? This is just the stuff I'm interested in. Like, I think about this every day. Like, this is like, I look up photos of this stuff. Can you imagine? They're like, actually, you don't have to leave when the sun goes down. You can walk around here at night. You can see. The electric age was ushered into being this last decade of the 19th century today with President Cleveland, by pushing the button, started the mighty machinery, rushing waters, and revolving wheels into the world's Columbian Expedition. No exhibit of the fair that has attracted thousands to the city for the next 6 months can be more marvelous than the magical effect following the solemn opening of the fair today. Of a multitude of visitors, some estimate the number as high as 200,000, probably not one fully realized the full import of the effect that was to come from the arrangement cleverly devised in opening the expedition. So yeah, they did this at the start of it, right? Because imagine you're somewhere else and you get a telegraph, right? You're in Europe. They're like, listen here, we have electricity. I'm at this fair right now. You get a little piece of paper. It's like, listen, you got to come to Chicago. Somebody in Europe. Like, what are you talking about? You know? What are you talking about? You're lying. You're lying to me. No way. And then your friend eventually gets there because it's going out for 6 months. It's going to take them 2 months to get there by boat. Okay, at least. Then they got to take a train. It's a disaster. But they come. They're like, listen here. It was known in a vague way that the president was to press a golden key and that the electric communication with Washington was to start at the fair, but no one realized how intricate this machinery was, how infinite the ramifications of their electric spark, until the fountains threw up their geysers. The writing back then, I can't read it. 70 feet into the air, and the rumble and hum of the wheels in the manufacturer's building, and the chatter of the machinery in all parts of that area of a square mile, more told the story of the final communication of scientific in a lifeless mass, startled being on every hand, draped statuary to shield its veil. They wrote this in the newspaper. This is crazy. Nobody speaks like this anymore. Revealed to the world the artistic labors of the past 18 months. In a moment, all that had been apathy and inert and active through the long hours of the morning sprang into animated existence. It thrilled the magnitude and crowd, the trumpet of the expedition. The writing is insane. Like, I can't even read this right. People swarmed to Chicago for a glimpse of the future. The Chicago World's Fair introduced a stunningly long list of new products that remain on the shelves to this day. Among them were Juicy Fruit Gum, Cracker Jacks, spray paint, and shredded weed. Also included in the list were products powered by electricity that would redefine American lives. Among them were fax machines, telephones, an electric railway, neon lights, bed warmers, fans, radiators, and a cure-all electric belt. The Columbian Expedition Electricity Building featured a fully electric kitchen, complete with a small range, hot plate, broiler, kettle, and saucepan. Can you imagine? This is Victorian times. What do you mean we have an electric kitchen to look at? Like, you're lying. The Westinghouse space reserved a section of the building for Nikola Tesla, my fave, love him. His expedition featured many of his early AC devices. Among them were motors, amateurs, and generators, phosphorescent signs, fluorescent lamps, and neon lamps. He also displayed vacuum tubes illuminated by means of wireless transmission. His rotating egg of Columbus and sheets of crackling light created by high-frequency discharges between two insulated plates. Ferris wheel was a favorite amusement powered by electricity. George Washington Gale Ferris carried more than 1.5 million riders to the dizzying height of a 24-story building where they could view the 3 states at once. Can you imagine seeing 3 states at once from the air? In 1893. The first giant Ferris wheel had steep heights and lows. The midway Pleasance was open for fun well into the night thanks to AC electric lighting. That's crazy. One of the fair's favorite attractions was a 4,500-foot moving sidewalk with benches for its passengers. It only cost a nickel. The sidewalk was designed primarily to carry passengers who arrived by steamboats. It was capable of moving up to 6,000 people at a time, up to 6 miles per hour. Unfortunately, the moving sidewalk opened late and breakdowns were common. Even so, from the day it opened in July to the close of the expedition in October, the sidewalk carried nearly 1 million people. That's still insane. Of course, Tesla's presence was felt in more than just his display. His work in the AC power systems touched virtually every part of the fair. Throughout the 1880s and 1890s, Edison and J.P. Morgan, DC Power, bitterly battled Nikola Tesla and George Westinghouse, AC Power. Westinghouse's company deliberately presented a low bid to win the contract to supply power to the Chicago World's Fair. Edison was so miffed he refused to let them use his patented light bulbs. Not to be defeated, Westinghouse configured a more efficient double-stopper light bulb. Edison tried to sue him for the patent violation prior to the fair, but lost. As a side note, Westinghouse's new bulbs did not last long, so a team of people was necessary to continually replace bulbs during the fair. Westinghouse's bet paid off as the successful implementation of the AC across the fair was publicized worldwide. His 12,000 horsepower AC polyphase generators powered the fair effectively and safely. Even skeptics like Lord Kelvin had to recognize that AC was superior, which had been greatly advanced by Tesla. By the end of the fair, the AC had basically won the war. One of my favorite battles in history is the battle between Tesla and Westinghouse. They went at it. They were rivals. A lot of people don't know this. It is insane. In 1893, Westinghouse Electric designed a large AC system for Niagara Falls. It was activated on August 26, 1895. Niagara Falls was the final victory of Tesla's polyphase alternating current AC electricity, which is today lighting the entire globe. On November 15, 1896, the city of Buffalo joined the power grid being generated from Niagara Falls. Approximately 26 miles away, it became the first long-distance transmission of steady supplies of clean, carbon-free hydroelectricity for commercial purposes. Thanks in part to the success of the Columbian expedition, electricity, AC power, became the standard for most of America. Eventually, it powered most of the world. J.P. Morgan later manipulated patents and companies to become the biggest winner of all. So that's a little history on this. It is honestly the most interesting thing. I wanted to mention some stuff in this article that isn't here. Obviously, the Ferris wheel is a big takeaway. Obviously, electricity. When Tesla did this with AC, that was it. He had won. He had shown that that was the way to go. And that's why we have alternating current instead of direct current. Edison and J.P. Morgan, they were for DC power. And Tesla and Westinghouse were for AC. But they were still all beefing. It was like, who's going to get there first? Edison would constantly be like, listen guys, like I'm putting a patent on this, like you can't take this from me, you can't use it. So they were constantly in a fight. It's the most interesting thing ever. I would highly recommend watching any documentary on these guys. When Tesla did this, like for a hot minute, people were like, Tesla is king. Like Tesla is goated. Pabst Blue Ribbon, the beer, they were there. They put blue ribbons on their beer. That's where that name came from. They put them on to stand out. Another one I always think about is Campbell's Soup. So a lot of people don't know this, but when you look at Campbell's Soup, there is little medals, like award medals, but they're minuscule, okay? You don't pay attention to this stuff now, but I found this so interesting. I watched this on the History Channel where the medals were medals that they won at the World's Fair. And that brought Campbell's to the international stage. Hello, the Eiffel Tower was one, and they brought it to the World's Fair, and they were like, why do we need this? You know, why are we gonna build this? Why are we gonna waste money on it? And actually, they were able to use it as an antenna, and eventually there was like a bid and a petition to keep it up. Gum and candy and stuff like that. Basic stuff that we take for granted. The people that came in and out of there and the stuff they would have seen for the first time, it's so profound to me. And so if I could go back in time, that is one of the 3 on the list. Every time I eat a Campbell's Soup, I always say praises to the World's Fair. That's where it came from. The World's Fair was like social media before it was a thing. I appreciate you guys so much. If you have anything that you'd like me to talk about on here, leave a comment. Please let me know if you like the editing of the videos on here. Thank you guys for being here.